I'm here with James Franklin, and you just came away from, well, one of the more politically savvy situations I've ever seen you involved in. A gentleman from Pennsylvania was wearing a Buc-ee's hat. For those who don't know, large gas station chain based in Texas, all over the South. Great gas stations. But as the head coach at Penn State, you have to stride a line here. So how do you handle one of the most controversial topics in the state? How do you handle the Sheetz Wawa dispute as the Penn State coach?
Well, first of all, I'm just going to say, as a local Penn State beat writer, to wear a Buc-ee's hat over Wawa Sheetz, that's controversial. Right. So I'm trying to shift the focus to him and away from me. You're trying to bring it back to me.
Well, but I didn't know how you handle this.
But I grew up just outside of Philadelphia, so always Wawa.
Oh, okay.
Always Wawa. Now, hold on. Been at Penn State now for 11 years, so I have come to appreciate and respect Sheetz. And over the last 11 years, it's been Sheetz for me.
Look at him riding down the middle of that.
I did that, but it's also the truth. Grew up Wawa, last 11 years Sheetz.
I understand. My first experience in the rivalry was in State College, Sheetz, 2 in, the kiosk asking me if I want jalapenos on my hot dog. And I'm like, sure.
Good spot.
But now we have Wawa where I live. And it has taken over. It's like my kid power rankings. I have 2 kids. We update the kid power rankings every day. So we'll see. Next visit, we'll get another Sheetz experience.
I'm gonna take a picture of him. I'm gonna put it on social media, and I'm gonna @ Wawa and Sheetz, and he's in trouble.
Exactly.
Big trouble.
Now you're not in trouble.
No. I just want to talk ball.
You were at a place.
I'm hoping and waiting for a football question.
It's coming. So you mentioned this today. You're at a place where you win 10 or 11 games.
Yep.
People are still mad.
Yep.
Is that a blessing and a curse?
Yes.
Or just a blessing?
No, I think it is. It is a blessing and a curse to be able to coach at a place that has really high expectations and standards. I didn't even know this. Somebody said today, over your 11 years, have averaged 9 wins. A lot of programs in the country would die for that.
Absolutely.
Right? And I think on top of that, we've been so close so many times. But again, this is a place that's got really high expectations, standards. We embrace that. We talk about that with the recruits. Every coach we hire, that. So that comes with the territory. That also comes with a 107,000-seat stadium. Right. You don't fill up a 107,000-seat stadium with people that aren't passionate about what we do. So it is a blessing and a curse, and we embrace both sides of it.
And so you bring in Andy Kotelnicki to run your offense, Tom Allen to run your defense. So let's start with Andy. He comes from Kansas. Has worked with Lance Leipold for a long time. Yep. What are those conversations like as you bring him in, where you have an experienced quarterback, you have experienced backs, a line that's been, working under a certain set of rules and circumstances? How do you bring him in and say, do what you do, but here's what these guys do well?
Yeah, so first of all, I got a ton of respect for Lance Leipold, all the way back to Buffalo. I consider him a friend. Obviously, it's hard to make that call. You don't want to make that call. But I've been following Lance and Andy. We played them when they were at Buffalo. Right. So for us, we don't do what you just described. This is year 11. We can't start over. So hiring Andy or Tom, it's sitting down and say, listen, I'm hiring you for a reason, Andy. You had one of the most explosive offenses in college football last year. That's where we were lacking. We need that. But do you have the humility to be able to say, listen, I need you to come in and I need you to study everything we do, and the stuff that we don't need to change, don't change it.
Right.
So now one guy's learning new stuff rather than 45, 50 guys learning new stuff. But the things that we got to change and you got to tweak so that you're comfortable to call it and to get us to be the explosive offense we need to be, then do it. And he was awesome. Yeah. Him and Tom were awesome about doing that. And I think it really helped our players hit the ground running in spring ball, and the same thing for summer camp.
Well, and with Tom, kind of a similar situation to Manny Diaz, where he'd been a head coach before, now coming back to being a DC. How have you liked having, that someone who's actually sat in your chair before?
Yeah, I think the first thing is, my last 3 defense coordinators have all had top 10 defenses. Yeah. So they deserve a ton of credit, but I think also how we operate and the system we run helps. So same thing with Tom. Are you comfortable with that? The head coaching experience is important and different than Manny. He's got head coaching experience in this conference with similar opponents. Obviously, the 4 new teams changed things a little bit, but I think that experience is really, really valuable. As you probably know, he's a great human being as well, and he's in it for the right reasons. As a relational leader, our kids love him,
and he's a great recruiter, too.
and a really good recruiter. And he's really just embraced his role. And I think he's I think he's really happy to say, listen, you take care of all that stuff I didn't like doing for the last 7 years anyway. Let me get back to coaching ball.
That's what I wonder with a lot of the guys when this happens is, do they say, well, I'm glad I'm not doing that right now?
Well, I think the changes in the game have had a lot of people question that because you get removed further and further away from why you got into this profession in the first place. We've seen it. There's other examples of that. But Tom's in a position where I just think he's like, listen, I did it for 7 years. I enjoyed it. I had a great experience. But now I'm back to doing what I love and why I was put on this earth. Speaking
of all-star coaching staffs, I got to ask you this because you brought this up on the big stage that you were talking to Raheem Morris, who's now the head coach of the Falcons. The Ron Prince staff at Kansas State. You're the OC. Raheem's the DC. Scott Frost is a GA. Ricky Ronnie, who's now the Old Dominion coach, was your OC. That was an all-star team. What were the staff room discussions like back then? And did everybody know everybody was kind of headed for superstardom?
No, I don't know that. I think it's hard to kind of predict those things, but I love working with Raheem. A lot of times with offensive and defensive coordinators, you're trying to win in practice. It's ego, 4 verticals. You don't want, if you're a defense coordinator against cover 3, he'd say, hey, I want it versus cover 3 because I want to challenge my defense and put him in an uncomfortable situation. And we were able to have that. And I think it was really good for our program. I tell that story all the time to our coaches, but Scott Frost, I still talk to. Ricky Ronnie obviously was with me for a long time. So we were fortunate to be around good people, and Ron did put a hell of a staff together.
Little Apple.
The Little Apple.
Incubator.
That's right.
Thank you, James.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. All right. Beautiful.
Great job.
Thank you so much for watching. Just a reminder, subscribe to this channel right here so you never miss an episode of Andy Staples On 3. And oh, by the way, watch all the other great videos on the On3 Sports YouTube channel.